You were never too sensitive. Rather, you were simply too aware in a world that prefers its inhabitants to remain in a state of slumber. The people around you may not shout or push you away, nor do they even raise their voices, yet somehow they still manage to instill a sense of wrongness in you. You often feel invisible, carrying the burden of silence that feels utterly misplaced, with your shoulders tense, your jaw clenched, and a nagging thought creeping into your mind. Maybe it's me. Carl Jung recognized this dynamic long before contemporary psychology offered it a name. He understood that when individuals have not confronted their own shadows, they inadvertently harm others, quietly, skillfully, through omission, dismissal, and emotional withdrawal. If you're not aware of your own patterns, you may unwittingly invite this harm time and again, believing that you're just unlucky, unlovable, or overly emotional. But consider this. What if every person who has hurt you was merely a reflection of what you've been conditioned to accept? Jung didn't merely provide theoretical insights. He offered warnings. There are 44 truths that have been quietly echoing beneath the surface of every heartbreak you've endured. If these truths remain unknown to you, others may continue to inflict pain without feeling guilty. Because when pain becomes familiar, it fades into the background, becoming nearly invisible. Let us explore the first truth. If you do not define your own worth, others will diminish it. Each time you remain silent when you should speak, every time you disregard your own needs to avoid conflict, and each occasion you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own truth, you establish a reality where your worth becomes negotiable. Truth number 2 is that those who profit from your silence will label your honesty as selfishness. Once you start voicing your needs, the backlash is swift. They may claim you've changed, that you've become difficult, or that you're not the same person anymore. But what they truly dislike is not your truth. It is the loss of control they experience because of it. Third, the shadow is not inherently evil. It is merely unexpressed power. The anger you suppress, the fire you feel in your gut when someone disrespects you, these emotions are not defects. They serve as sacred protection. Your shadow does not wish to harm you. Its purpose is to safeguard you. Fourth, people do not hear your words. They respond to what you are willing to accept. You might declare, "Don't speak to me like that." But if you choose to stay when it happens again, your energy rewrites your words. Boundaries without supportive action are just noise. Fifth, each apology you give for experiencing pain is a lesson in self-erasure. It's all too easy to say, "Sorry, I'm just tired," or "Sorry if I'm overreacting." Jung might ask, why do you keep apologizing for your emotions? What part of you has learned to believe that feeling is a burden? Truth number 6. Trauma can skew your perception of love to mirror the shape of your survival. If love has been defined by pleasing, adapting, or shrinking, then that's the kind of love you will seek. But that isn't love. It's merely familiar pain disguised as affection, replayed time and again. Seventh, if someone's love compels you to betray yourself, it's not love. It's a form of transaction. Saying yes to what harms you in order to maintain false peace is no real peace at all. Eighth, the masks you wear to be loved can become a cage. Your easygoing demeanor, your reputation for being readily available, and the smile you put on when you want to cry might work for a time, but they can lead you to forget the person you are beneath it all. Ninth, Emotional labor without reciprocity is simply exploitation. You may comfort them, explain everything, create a safe space, and absorb their emotional damage, which they may call love. But ask yourself what you get in return. Love that flows in only one direction leads to depletion, not devotion. 10th, you teach people how to treat you by what you permit. The first instance of poor behavior might be a mistake, but if it continues, it is no longer solely their fault. Your silence has provided them permission. Truth 11 reminds us that not everyone who understands you should have access to you. Even toxic individuals can resonate with your past and mirror your feelings. Yet insight without integrity can turn into manipulation. Just because someone recognizes your soul doesn't mean they should possess it. 12. You are not overly sensitive. You are finally attuned to your nervous system. The sick feeling in your stomach, the energy drop after a call, the impulse to withdraw. These sensations are not signs of anxiety. They are the truth manifesting through your body. 13th, loyalty to dysfunction is not a virtue. It is a form of conditioning. You have stayed, forgiven, and justified. But Jung would ask, are you being loyal, or are you simply afraid? Afraid of loss, change, or solitude? Remaining in pain does not signify loyalty. It signifies disorientation. Truth 14 states that if someone's love is contingent upon you being easy to love, it isn't love, it's consumption. The moment you express illness, dissent, or disagreement, they pull away. This response is not rejection. It reveals what their affection was truly based upon. Finally, Truth 15 reminds us that over-explaining is a trauma response masquerading as logic. If you find yourself justifying, defending, or clarifying actions that should be self-evident, it's often not about them, but rather your internalized fear that clarity will render you unlovable. Let me share a story. There was once a girl, soft-spoken and gentle, who made herself small in every room. She was always the peacekeeper, the one who allowed interruptions, who laughed at unfunny jokes simply to avoid the discomfort of silence. But one day, a conversation took a turn for the hostile. Instead of laughing or nodding, she said firmly, "Don't speak to me that way," and walked away. With trembling legs and a tight chest, she took that step because she finally understood that being understood does not equate to being safe. Jung believed that every individual must experience a symbolic death, the death of the illusionary self. That girl buried the part of her that thought enduring pain was synonymous with love, and what emerged was a person no longer interested in being palatable. Let me ask you, when did you first learn that silence felt safer than authenticity? Recall that moment. Was it a parent's tone, a teacher's glare, or a friend who distanced themselves when you displayed your vulnerability? That pivotal moment marked the beginning of hiding your true voice. From then on, people could inflict pain upon you through gentle, manipulative, well-dressed tactics, because the part of you that should have been screaming had been dulled. Yet, it is not too late. These 15 truths are not meant to foster bitterness. They are meant to awaken you. Let us continue to explore the subsequent truths regarding projection, narcissism, emotional boundaries, and how to disarm those who weaponize empathy. You've come this far. Do not stop now. Once you comprehend all 44 truths, you will not only cease to be hurt, but also free yourself from the haunting presence of the version of you who tolerated such treatment just to feel wanted. People may claim you've changed, not because you have become cruel, but because you've gained clarity. In a world that thrives on confusion, clarity can feel confrontational. You begin saying no, not loudly, but consistently. You stop responding immediately. You stop apologizing for your tone. You no longer shrink to make others feel larger. Suddenly, you're seen as difficult, not because you did anything wrong, but because you have ceased to engage in behavior that assures their comfort. Jung warned us that once a person begins to reclaim their shadow, their energy undergoes a transformation. Those who once benefited from your suppression may perceive this change as a threat, not necessarily in a malicious way, but visceral nonetheless. Your newfound boundaries will sound like betrayal to those who only knew you while you remained silent. Let's delve into the next truths, beginning with Truth 16. Healing can render you unrecognizable to those who only knew you in your fractured state. They will indeed say you've changed, but what they truly mean is that you are no longer easy to exploit. 17th, love that does not allow for evolution will ultimately expire. Relationships do not die due to disagreement. They wither when one partner begins to grow, while the other refuses to adapt. A love that remains stagnant is a love that quietly rots. 18th, people fear your boundaries when they can no longer benefit from your absence of them. Their descriptions of you as cold, guarded, or harsh are projections of their discomfort. What they are really conveying is that your self-respect now constrains their control. When you stop over-explaining, manipulators lose their power. They thrive on confusion, on endless dialogues that drain you. When your truth becomes non-negotiable, they often fall silent because clarity transitions from being a conversation to becoming a barrier. 21st, empathy is a gift only when it is safeguarded by discernment. You have likely given too much of yourself to individuals who view your compassion as a form of currency. You feel their pain more than your own, but love without discernment leads only to your own diminishment. Truth 22nd reveals that the desire for understanding can compel you to tolerate the intolerable. You may strive to clarify yourself to individuals who are committed to misunderstanding you. The issue lies not within your effort, but rather their comfort. When someone crosses your boundaries and, subsequently, feels offended, you have merely exposed their entitlement. Healthy individuals will adjust when you express a need, while unhealthy ones may retaliate. Not because your boundary is wrong, but because they never intended to respect it. 24th, you are not responsible for the emotional responses of people you have outgrown. Guilt may urge you to be softer or kinder, but growth is not a form of cruelty. Rather, it is clarity. If your evolution wounds them, you were never meant to contort yourself to fit within their limitations. Additionally, observe carefully. It is not toxicity that drives people away, but rather your commitment to self-respect. When you begin to stand up for yourself, some individuals will dissolve, not because you are in the wrong, but because you are no longer easy to manipulate. Your triggers are not flaws, but messengers, reminders of unresolved issues. Whenever someone labels you as overly reactive, Jung would inquire, what memory has been evoked? Your emotion is not a defect, it is information. Projection occurs when someone accuses you of embodying the very issues they are too frightened to confront within themselves. They may label you as manipulative when you establish boundaries, or selfish when you seek space. But what they perceive in you is often what they refuse to address within themselves. Some individuals may find comfort in your dysfunction, as it endows validity to their own challenges. You are agreeable when you exhibit anxiety or self-doubt, and when you overgive. As soon as you begin to heal, they may feel exposed, as your clarity brings their chaos into sharper focus. When someone withdraws their affection as punishment, it ceases to be love and becomes leverage. You recognize the cold shoulder after setting boundaries, or the silence following your refusal to comply. This interaction is not love retracting, it is control beginning to disintegrate. Additionally, you do not need to justify your boundaries to anyone. They may demand explanations, try to debate, or push for reasons, but this is not court. Your boundary is not up for discussion. It is a door, locked and final. You do not owe anyone continued access to a version of you they feel entitled to. You have transformed and evolved. You no longer laugh at the same jokes or chase after acceptance like you once did. This transition is not rudeness. It signifies a revolution. Jung understood, often without stating it overtly, that every human soul has a gravitational pull, a psychological orbit that attracts situations aligned with its self-concept. If your inner belief is that you must be easy to love, you will unconsciously seek partners who require difficulty to be impressed. If you hold the belief that you do not deserve too much, you will settle for those who provide just enough to keep you in a state of doubt. The universe does not deliver what you merely desire. It mirrors who you perceive yourself to be. Now, let's unveil the final 14 truths: how to safeguard your energy from subtle predation, how to stop trauma bonding with individuals who mirror your wounds, and how to cultivate such unwavering self-respect that chaos no longer holds the key to your life. You are almost there. When you fully understand all 44 truths, not just in your intellectual grasp, but embodied deeply within you, you will cease to confuse survival with connection. You will stop sacrificing for love, and at long last, you will experience what it means to be whole. Let's conclude this expedition, for these last 14 truths revolve around sovereignty. Truth 31. Your peace will trigger those who are reliant on your chaos. The calmer you become, the louder their reactions may become, as they struggle to locate you amidst the evolving patterns. Your silence, once perceived as submission, has transitioned into your armor, and they may resent it. 32. If you find yourself needing to plead for someone to comprehend you, understand that they are invested in misunderstanding you. Clarity should never require a performance. You should never have to audition for love. Some individuals don't seek resolution. Rather, they pursue control. They will instigate delays and distractions, not to ameliorate situations, but to maintain their power. Jung recognized that when someone fears confronting their own unconscious, they will attempt to dominate yours instead. The most dangerous form of gaslighting comes from within. You may tell yourself, "Perhaps I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm asking for too much." But consider, where did that message originate? Who taught you that experiencing pain is normal? Self-abandonment adorns itself in various forms: loyalty, sacrifice, spirituality, love. However, if remaining connected requires you to diminish yourself, it is not a demonstration of devotion. It is a spiritual wound masquerading as virtue. Remember, you are not difficult. You are simply no longer willing to self-destruct quietly. Let others label you as they please. Such titles do not adhere to those who recognize their own truth. Those who have never established boundaries will invariably view yours as cruelty, and that is acceptable. Their discomfort does not fall within your obligation to bear. You were not born to carry the weight of their emotional illiteracy. Manipulators may confuse empathy with access, presuming that your understanding equates to an obligation. However, understanding another person does not necessitate tolerating unacceptable behavior. Truth 39 proclaims that you can love someone deeply while still prioritizing yourself entirely. This is not selfishness, it is sacred love. True love does not mean losing your identity. It means becoming so fulfilled that you overflow, not deplete those around you. If your absence unsettled someone more than your pain ever did, that was never love. It was mere dependency. They did not truly miss you. They missed a version of you that required them without any demands. The more healed you become, the more mundane you may seem to individuals who are addicted to chaos. They may label you as distanced or changed, and they are correct. However, now, chaos no longer feels like home. Recognize that if someone's love hinges upon your exhaustion, it isn't love, it's performance. You are not meant to audition for care. You deserve to be met where you truly exist. Some individuals form bonds through wounds rather than values. When you begin to heal, the connection frays. They never truly loved you. They loved the pain you shared. And when you cease to bleed, they often depart. Finally, Truth 44. The ultimate act of self-respect is walking away quietly and completely, without needing them to understand why. Closure is not a prerequisite. You do not need a final word or to be proven right. What you require is simply to be done. Imagine waking up one morning and feeling no compulsion to check your phone, not to see if they responded, to reread past messages, or to rehearse what you'll say next. There's a profound stillness within because something inside you has finally found peace. Not from bitterness, but rather from clarity. You recognize that the apology you longed for never materialized, that the respect you sought was an illusion, and that the love you experienced was conditional. In this moment of clarity, instead of spiraling, you simply breathe. You rise, make tea, and stand in the light, free from the urge for revenge. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated with more motivational content. Like, share, and comment to support our work and spread the message.